Have you ever stopped to think that your cat might be asking for help, and you don't even notice it? That's right. There's subtle signs, little behaviors that most people completely ignore, but they can actually mean something very serious. And here's the most surprising part. Only 5% of people truly recognize these cries for help from their cats. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what they're trying to say, and I guarantee that after this video, you'll never look at your cat the same way again. But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave your like, because this video could literally change the way you understand your cat. And look, if you love cats as much as I do, you want to be here every week to discover secrets, curiosities, and behaviors that almost no one talks about. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the end, because at the end, I'm going to reveal a sign that almost no one notices, and it could be the difference between a happy cat and one silently suffering. Now, let me ask you something honest. Have you ever really looked into your cat's eyes? That moment when they stare at you for a few seconds, meow, in a slightly different way. Not their usual meow, but softer, sometimes sharper, almost as if they're trying to tell you something, or when they start acting strangely, hiding in corners they've never been in before, or sleeping in unusual places like inside a closet, behind the couch, or even in the bathroom. A lot of people see that and think, oh, that's just cat stuff, they're quirky like that. But the truth is, it's not always just that. Each of these behaviors can be a sign, a cry for help, a reflection that something isn't right, whether physically or emotionally. Cats are masters at hiding how they feel. It's part of their instinct, because in nature, showing weakness can be dangerous. But at home, that same instinct makes it harder for us to notice when something's wrong. Sometimes that distant stare, that persistent meow, or even the fact that they stop playing or eating like before, all of it could be their way of saying, hey, human, I need you. And that's exactly where the problem lies. Most people don't understand the language of cats. We love them, we care for them, give them food, toys, affection, but often we don't understand what they're truly trying to communicate. So, if you want to truly connect with your cat, to understand how they feel, what they're trying to tell you, and how you can make their life better every single day, stay with me until the end of this video. I'm going to show you signs that almost no one notices, and that can completely transform the relationship between you and your cat. Oh, and while you're here, leave a comment down below if your cat has any strange behaviors, something you can't quite figure out, because I want to help you understand what that might mean. This could be the first step to understanding your cat in a way almost no one does. Cats are deeply sensitive creatures, far more than most people realize. They don't just notice what's happening around them. They actually absorb the energy of their environment. If something feels off in the house, tension in the air, a change in routine, a new smell, a different noise, or even the simple act of moving furniture, your cat senses it. They notice every detail, a new scent, a shift in sound, the absence of an object, or even the tone of your voice. And what's truly fascinating is that they also feel you. Yes, your cat can sense when you're sad, anxious, angry, or happy. They observe the way you move, the way you speak, and they respond to it in subtle ways. They don't talk, they don't cry, they don't complain. They show it. Sometimes it's a long, thoughtful stare, as if they're trying to understand what's going on inside you. Other times it's a delicate gesture, a small paw lifted gently, an unexpected purr, or a simple nudge of the head. Every movement carries a message. And the more you learn to observe, the more you realize that cats are communicating all the time, just in a quiet, almost poetic way. The problem is, most people don't notice these signs. They ignore it when their cat's behavior changes, thinking it's just a quirk or typical cat behavior. But these small changes are warnings. Sudden withdrawal, finding new hiding spots, unusual silence, loss of appetite. All of these can mean stress, fear, or even a health issue. And here's the most fascinating and concerning part. Studies show that only a small minority of people recognize these signs in time. Most owners only realize something is wrong when the cat is already sick, stressed, or emotionally distressed. That's why, if you truly love your cat, it's essential to learn how to read their behavior. to understand their gestures, their sounds, their looks, because that's how they talk to you. They don't need words to tell you they trust you, that they're scared, or that they need help. They just need you to pay attention. And that's exactly why learning the feline language is so important. Most people think loving a cat means giving them food, toys, and affection. But in reality, loving a cat means learning to understand them. It's about noticing what they say when their body speaks, even if they never utter a single word. When your cat starts avoiding contact, hiding more often, or excessively licking a specific part of their body, they're not doing it just because they're obsessed with cleanliness. Most of the time, that's their way of saying, hey, something isn't right. It could be pain, stress, anxiety, or even an emotional reaction to changes in their environment. The same goes for a different kind of meow, that higher-pitched, longer, or softer sound than usual. Every variation has meaning. A more vocal cat might be trying to get your attention because something is bothering them, while a cat who suddenly becomes quiet might be withdrawn, scared, or physically uncomfortable. And do you know what happens when these signs are ignored? The cat shuts down even more. They start isolating themselves, sleeping more than usual, and avoiding contact even with the people they trust the most. And that's heartbreaking because all they wanted was to be understood. That's why watching your cat closely is an act of love. Paying attention to their gestures, their sounds, their daily habits, that's how you show that you care. It's how you build a genuine connection, a deep bond where your cat feels safe to be who they are. Loving a cat isn't just about taking care of them. It's about understanding, listening, and respecting what they're trying to tell you through their eyes, their body, and their silence. And once you learn to decode that language, everything changes. The bond grows stronger, life together becomes easier, and your cat becomes truly happy. Now here's something really interesting. Not every cute gesture from your cat means what it seems. Sometimes your cat comes over to you, flops onto the floor, stretches out, shows their belly, and gives you that sweet, irresistible look, the kind that melts anyone's heart. It's almost impossible not to reach out and pet them, right? Most people assume that this is an invitation for affection, and sometimes it really is. But what almost no one realizes is that showing the belly is actually a sign of deep trust and vulnerability. In feline language, exposing the belly, one of the most delicate and defenseless parts of the body, is like saying, I trust you, but I still need to feel safe. It's one of the purest and quietest ways for a cat to express affection and surrender. However, this doesn't always mean the cat wants to be touched there. Often, they're just relaxed and comfortable, showing that they feel at ease in your presence. The problem is many people misinterpret this gesture. When the owner immediately reaches out to pet the belly without observing the cat's body language, the touch can be seen as an invasion of personal space. And that's when those sudden reactions happen. Little bites, scratches, or the classic touch and flee. It's not aggression, it's defense. The cat feels betrayed or confused because what began as a moment of trust turned into discomfort. And that can have lasting effects. Over time, the cat learns that showing their belly isn't safe, and they stop doing it. They may become more reserved, less expressive, and in more serious cases, develop stress-related behaviors, like excessive grooming, hiding, or even acting defensive for no apparent reason. That's why the secret lies in observing before acting. If your cat shows their belly, pay attention to their ears, tail, and eyes. If their body is relaxed, their gaze soft, and their tail calm, you could try giving gentle strokes on the sides of the body, never directly on the belly unless they clearly allow it. But if their body is tense, their stare fixed, or their tail twitching, respect their space. Love for cats isn't measured by how much you pet them, but by your ability to respect their timing and boundaries. When you understand that, your bond becomes stronger, more genuine, and filled with trust, exactly the way cats love best, with respect, patience, and quiet affection. And I know, it can seem complicated. Understanding a cat isn't something you learn overnight. They are mysterious, subtle, and have a unique way of expressing themselves. While dogs tend to show their emotions openly, cats live in a world of delicate gestures, meaningful glances and silences that speak louder than 1,000 meows. And it's precisely this natural mystery that makes so few people truly understand them. Research shows that only about 5% of people are able to correctly interpret a cat's behavior and emotions. That means that out of 100 cat owners, only 5 can see beyond the obvious. Notice what's behind a simple glance, a different meow, or a change in routine. The other 95% live alongside their cats without ever truly communicating with them. And that's where the magic lies. Understanding a cat is almost like decoding a secret language, a silent code that only those who pay close attention can grasp. It's a bond built with time, patience, and empathy, not with force, but with observation and respect. Once you start recognizing these signals, your cat begins to trust you more. They open up, show affection in new ways, and the relationship transforms into something much deeper and more authentic. So, if you're here, reading, or watching this until now, it's because you're different. You don't just want to have a cat. You want to truly understand them, to create a genuine connection, and to learn what they feel and what they're trying to tell you in silence. And that's the first step to becoming part of the small group of people who really understand the feline heart. Because in the end, cats don't need us to dominate them. They need us to understand them. And when that happens, everything changes. Love becomes lighter, living together becomes more harmonious, and trust absolute. Now, before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already, and share this video with that friend who always says, "My cat is weird." Trust me, this video can help a lot of people notice signals that go unnoticed every day, small details that make a huge difference in your cat's well-being. Back to the topic. You know those moments when your cat starts scratching unexpected places like the new sofa, the wall, or even the living room rug? Before assuming it's misbehavior, it's important to understand that this is communication. Scratching is a natural way cats express themselves. They are marking territory and trying to feel safe in their environment. Cats have scent glands in their paws that release invisible smells, highly meaningful to them. Each scratch is like saying, "This place is mine, and I feel comfortable here." When something changes in the house, a new smell, a different piece of furniture, an unexpected visitor, or even changes in family routines, the cat feels the need to reaffirm their space. They need to make sure the territory is still safe and familiar. And if you react negatively by scolding or punishing them, the cat doesn't understand your intention. To them, the environment becomes even more threatening and stressful. Additionally, scratching also helps cats release energy and stress, keep their claws sharp, and stretch their muscles. It's an instinctive behavior that combines physical need with emotional communication. Ignoring it or reprimanding them without understanding the reason can lead to more serious behavioral issues, like excessive hiding, aggression, or even avoiding interaction with people. The key point here is to observe the context and understand the message behind the scratching. Every gesture, every mark left, every paw movement is your cat communicating with you without saying a word. And when you learn to interpret these signals, the bond strengthens, the environment becomes safer for them, and you end up living with a calmer, more confident, and happier cat. And the same applies to other behaviors that often go unnoticed. When your cat stops eating, when they change their sleep patterns, or when they hide in unusual places. Each of these actions is, in fact, a silent cry for help. It's the cat's way of communicating that something is wrong, whether physically or emotionally. Unfortunately, most people ignore these signals, thinking it's just a cat thing, or that they're being moody. But you, now, are learning to identify and interpret each of these signs, understanding that they carry meaning and importance. And do you know the subtlest and most important signal of all? The one only those who pay close attention can notice? It's when the cat starts to meow more softly, almost as if they were whispering. This type of meow is very different from the usual. It's not demanding, not loud, and not insistent. It's gentle, almost shy, and it means the cat is trying to get your attention calmly, hoping you'll notice what they need without them having to shout. When a cat reaches this point, it signifies much more than you might imagine. They trust you completely. They believe you will notice, understand, and respond carefully. It's a demonstration of deep vulnerability and confidence because they are expressing their needs calmly, relying on you to understand and help. Additionally, this type of soft meow can be a warning of physical or emotional discomfort, stress, anxiety, or even pain. It's as if they are saying, "I need you, but I can't make too much noise, so I trust you will notice." Ignoring this signal can make the cat retreat further, hide, and become less expressive, creating a barrier between you. Observing, recognizing, and responding to this type of communication is key to building a strong and healthy bond. When you understand that every look, every whispered meow, every silent gesture has meaning, you begin to communicate with your cat in a deep and genuine way. This is how trust, security, and a relationship where your cat feels truly loved and understood are built. In the end, understanding a cat's cry for help is all about empathy. It's about looking at your cat and seeing a living being full of emotions, fears, and feelings, just like you. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. You're already part of the small group who truly cares. The 5% who recognize the silent pleas for help from cats. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you for two simple things. First, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you love cats and want to keep learning how to understand what they're trying to say. And second, comment below, what's the most curious behavior your cat has ever had? Who knows? Maybe they were asking for help, and you're only noticing now. I read every comment and might even respond to yours in the next video. So here's the invitation. Care for, observe, and love your cat the way they need. Because when you learn to understand what they're trying to communicate, the bond between you becomes something magical and everlasting.